What up, what up, what up? This is Mike the Philosopher here with another one. This one is from Tony from Ready to Love. And this one is he's being interviewed by Rashid, okay? And this one should be interesting. I thought I'd put my 2 cents in it. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Let's go.
All right, let's go. I think he's here.
You
Tony,
hear me? You
I
hear
hear
me?
you. What up? All right, cool.
All right, man. Let's do this, man. Let's do this.
All
All
right,
right.
let's do it. All
All right.
right, so
Yeah.
everybody's been waiting for you. Happy birthday. I see some people in the comments. All right, Tony.
Thank you. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man. I know you've been seeing your name a lot in the headlines for not so good reasons. But we're going to get into
Right.
that, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to say what you want to say and, give you this platform in a safe space. But at the same time, people want to hear from you, and there's some inconsistency that people have seen and some red flags is so popular to say these days.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about
Absolutely.
those things. But real quick, man, for the people who don't know your background, Tony, where you from originally? Tell us about yourself real quick and give us a little
Yeah.
bio on Tony, man.
Yeah. Obviously, how everyone know I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island, Hempstead, the Queens area. So, it's all next to each other.
Yeah.
Went to school in New York. I graduated and went to school in Connecticut. Have a BA in accounting, master's in taxation. I'm an accountant. Just a real humble, laid-back dude. I have 2 kids, and my mother is, again, as I mentioned earlier, is a pastor, and I definitely believe in God. I'm just like a humble guy and very laid back. I know the show didn't show that how laid back I am, but anybody who know me personally know that I'm really a humble, laid back dude. So that's pretty much I am. I'm focused on being a great dad, and that's pretty much it.
Let me say this. I never really had much, I would say, issue with Tony. I can kind of see that he's a good dude. It's just that I just thought he was a victim of his ego. You know what I mean? If you're a victim of your ego, you're going to move in a certain type of way that's going to really kind of get you into some things. I also noticed that he gravitates towards the toxic or the broken. And that to me just said that he was a bit of a broken man. You know, sometimes when people grow up seeing toxicity, they feel like that's the only way to love. That's the only way to have a relationship. It's natural to them. It's normal to them. And sometimes if it feels too good, that can be uncomfortable for them. If it feels too like it's not enough toxicity, it could feel like this is not right. This is fake. This is this don't feel right. I need a level of toxicity in order for it to feel normal, and that's kind of sad. That's kind of that's a sign of some trauma. But you can get used to trauma. You can get used to trauma. You can get used to being traumatized. This is why some men and women stay in toxic relationships. But I never thought he was necessarily a bad guy, so to speak. I just thought he was a sort of a slave to his ego, and he's led by his ego. I know he kind of wears his religion on his sleeve and things like that, and he likes to talk about his religion. And I me myself, I just feel like that's some kind of rouge to kind of get you to view him as some biblical religious person. But I mean, this guy is having premarital relations and all that other stuff. So I don't know, I mean, sometimes people could try to use that as some kind of weapon and to try to have you view them in a certain type of way, but they don't move religious at all. It's just all talk, you know what I mean? So it don't impress me when people be doing that. Morgan do the same thing, by the way, and she ain't impressive either. Anyway, let's go back in.
Got you. Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's dope. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, man. You and Morgan.
Right.
So
Yes.
obviously, you go on the show. The goal is to find someone that you're gonna potentially walk off into the sunset down the yellow brick road. All right, so tell us, what was the infatuation? What was the initial attraction with you and Morgan, and what mentally made you all hit it off? I know there's physical attraction, so you can talk about
Right.
that, but what made you want to pursue her
Yeah.
ultimately?
Right. So obviously the physical attraction is there, but you know, off camera, Morgan and I had great conversation. I know on camera it seems like, we bump heads a lot of things of that nature, but honestly, off camera, I got to know Morgan. Morgan really got to know me, and she got to know the Tony that that she really endured and liked. And I felt the same way with Morgan. Obviously the spirituality is there, right? By no means am I perfect. By no means. I'm still a work in progress, right? Every day I'm trying to build and become a better person.
Right.
However, that spirituality we do have, I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God, and I do believe in prayer. And I'm not saying that I'm a religious person, but I do believe in a higher power. And I think Morgan and I got connected on a spiritual level, and then again, just off camera, just vibing, talking, and just everyday life and things like that. And it really brought me close to Morgan. I know, you know on TV. It doesn't show all of that, but we had a lot of experiences together off camera. So that
Let me say this. Here we go again with the, throwing the religion out there as if, they were guided by their religion. And I have not seen any of that. I mean, yes, I know that you got editors and everything working against you, and they got to tell a story, and they trying to feed the audience more of the negative. I get that. It sounds to me like he's trying to it's a bit of a PR campaign, maybe to make his family proud of him, like his mother proud of him. So he keeps putting that religion out there to show that he's a good boy, so to speak, and show that he is really God fearing. And I mean, it's just, to me, it's a bit of a PR campaign, a PR stunt. I mean, he wasn't thinking about that when he was dealing with Natasha. He wasn't thinking about that when he was dealing with Morgan. I'm sure they smashed too. It's like, I mean, why you keep throwing the religion out there? All that being said, another thing is his attraction to Morgan, I believe, really is because she is broken. And Tony has a talent for spotting out broken women, and Morgan is one of those broken women. So he gravitated towards that. I would say even with the other two, Natasha and Marcia, he just gravitates towards broken women. If you once Cynthia stepped on the scene, I don't know why every guy on the show wasn't after her. Now, the only reason they wouldn't be after her is because she don't provide a level of toxicity that suits their needs. That she don't provide that level of toxicity. I mean, she's about as attractive as all the women on the show. They're all attractive in their own ways. But what I'm saying is, sometimes it boils down to the personality and the level of brokenness or toxicity that they give off, that you are attracted to because you've had that in your life. It happens with women. It happens with men. You try to, like say for instance, a stripper, right? Stripper probably not going to get along with a Wall Street tycoon. Why? Because they're living on two different levels of life, you know, and it's hard for them to relate to each other. Well, if you can relate to a psychopath, then you had some you had a bit of brokenness in yourself to even try to either make that work. Now some might say, oh well, what about Lyndon is not well, look, Lyndon was led by his attraction towards Morgan, and Lyndon is kind of slow on picking up cues. I don't think Tony is slow in picking up cues. I think he pick up the wrong cues though. I think he pick up toxic cues. And Lyndon just don't know what he's doing. I mean, he had to have his friend point out the fact that there were some red flags. So all in all, I think his attraction towards Tony's attraction towards Morgan was her level of toxicity. That was actually attractive to him. Yeah, obviously, I know he was, physically attracted to her, but yeah, people from the street love other people from the street. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. Let's go back in.
That really got us tight like that. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, and then we'll spend our time on that for sure. So
Absolutely.
I was gonna have some other things, but as you talk, it just made me think. Okay, so Marcia, the
Right.
whole comment when you guys were on your getaway, when you told allegedly,
Right.
once you clear it
Yes.
up, you told
Yes.
Lyndon that
Yeah.
if she was here, he could have Morgan.
So
Please expand on that because
yo,
that sounded crazy, bro.
listen,
Like,
man.
that sounded-
Listen.
So we
She,
gotta
let
hear
me
on
let me
from
let
on
me
that.
let me be upfront and direct with you as well as everyone who's watching. Right, that conversation wasn't even with Lyndon, man.
Okay.
All right. So what happened was me and Saint. Anybody who don't know who Saint is Mark Anthony.
That's Mark
Me
Anthony.
and Mark Anthony was having a discussion. We was talking. All right, and boys just talking their shit, real talk. We just talking our shit, and Lyndon just came over. I have no ill will towards Lyndon. Lyndon did what he had to do. I don't hate Lyndon or anything like that, but that conversation wasn't for Lyndon. It was directed at me and Mark Anthony having a direct conversation, and Lyndon was just in the midst of it right there.
Right. So he was in the midst of it. He just heard some, like, from third party. He wasn't in the conversation.
Right. Absolutely. However,
but it still sounds crazy. If he was there or not, it still sounds crazy.
Right. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. As a man, I take full accountability of that. I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna own that. Right. So I did say that, and as I mentioned on the show, yeah, I did say that. However, I didn't mean it, and to be honest with you, I didn't, and I learned so much throughout this process in terms of, Tony, when you mad, you can't say things you don't mean because you hurt, other people that you care about. And I realized that I hurt Morgan, right? If you can imagine how Morgan felt, man, you know what I'm saying? And, that's something, if I can take back, I would. But, I have to eat that. I have to own that. And I take full responsibility of my actions. I'm not going to blame it on production. I'm not going to blame it on Lyndon. I'm not going to blame it on anybody. I'm going to eat that. Let Tony eat that, right? So, and that's what I'm going to do. And
let me say this, man. First of all, in this situation, I totally agree with Tony. Listen, it's locker room talk among men. Women do this too. Women talk among themselves, and they say stuff, and this, that, and the third, and oftentimes it don't get to the other party, mainly because they're not in a competitive environment. Okay. RTL just happened to be a competitive environment where that information could be used against them. So this happens all the time. It happens all the time. Men do it, women do it. We talk our shit. We just do. We talk greasy, and we be like, look, man, if Marcia was here, you could have Morgan for real. I can see him saying that, and I can see him meaning that. What I'm really not respecting is that he's saying he didn't mean it. I actually think he meant it because I think he meant it, and probably at that moment when he said it, he meant it. You know what I mean? It was an emotion that was dragged out of him, and he was like, you know what? If Marcia was here, he can have more. That way he don't have to worry about competing for a chick. Okay, Morgan can rock out with Lyndon, Tony can rock out with Marcia, and there won't have to be no competitive nature, tripping and chasing after a chick who is trying to, put two men against each other. Um, if you're frustrated with the process, and if you're frustrated with just having just this one chick, you will say something like that. Women will probably say the same thing. Oh, if such and such was here, then you could have such and such. It's it was natural. Some might say, "Oh, that sounds crazy." Well, and I mean, as if Morgan ain't said some crazy stuff herself. Like, for real, Morgan said plenty of crazy stuff, calling people cancerous and stuff. She say a lot of crazy stuff. Haven't apologized for that yet, but us as men, we have to, you know, succumb to the female emotion when they get hurt. So that's what we do, and we try to take accountability, which is what Tony is doing right now. Um, I put it like this: I understand why he said it. I understand how he felt at that moment. I rock with that. What I don't rock with is him trying to, um, make it seem like he didn't really mean it at the time. Be unapologetic about it. Like, I mean, you ain't even with Morgan now anyway. So, and she found, okay, so she found out. Yeah, if I was with Marcia, I would rock out with Marcia if she was still here. Um, maybe that's just me. Own your feelings, man. Own what you feel. Don't try to have people manipulate and change how you feel. You know, be unapologetic about how you feel, because when the rubber meet the road, they're gonna be unapologetic about how they feel, and a lot of times they ain't gonna apologize for stuff that they say. It's just one of those double standards. I I I see what he's doing, and he's trying to, take full ownership, and I get that. But I think he's taking only half ownership, because he's not taking full ownership of. He's not. He's not being unapologetic about it. He's not taking full ownership of his feelings. Yeah, I felt that way at that time. That's what I'm um, kind of thinking he should say, because it was the truth at that time. It it may not be true now, but it was true at that time. So own your feelings, man. Own how you feel. Don't cheat yourself. Look, if Marcia was still here now, my whole thing is, why didn't you solidify the deal with Marcia when she was here, if that were the case? But if you lying to kick it with the fellas, if you lying about that, talking about, oh, you could have Morgan, that's kind of corny to me. Why would you lie to the fellas about, oh man, like, again, that's that ego that catches up with Tony all the time. He probably said that egotistically. Oh man, if Marcia was here, you could have Morgan. It's that ego again. So either he's not taking full ownership of it, or his ego got the best of him. Um, but I understand why he said it. I don't like all of this apologizing for how you feel, unless you were lying. Now, if you were lying, he said he pretty much was lying because he didn't mean it. Well, then why did you even say it if you didn't mean it? I mean, I don't. It's all messy to me. Let's go back in.
I definitely want to address Morgan before the show end as well. But yeah, that's something I had to eat. I regret what I said.
Yeah.
Right. It was very distasteful. It was nasty. It was like, the nerve of this guy to say something like that. Right. So
Because that's how it came across. It came
right,
across
and
super boys club, high school locker room. You know what I'm saying?
right. And I was
but
wrong.
to your point, though, I can see sometimes how it can get there when guys are talking, but at the same time, it can never come off too disrespectful when you get in your feelings.
Right.
So, with that being said, were you beefing with Morgan at the time? What made you go there? Were you in a emotional state with her and y'all got into it?
Nah, it was, yeah, I just got tired of the games, right, man. I'm thinking Morgan and I have a connection. And again, I'm not blaming it on that. It was me. I'm taking full responsibility and accountability of that. I just felt like, at the time, Marcia and our conversation and my conversation was real. It was authentic. It was, me and Marcia have, we connected, man, and we talk, right? And I just feel like, Morgan tell me one thing and then turn around and tell Lyndon another thing, So I just felt like, in a sense, betrayed, even though we wasn't even together. How crazy.
And that's the thing, then, Tony. If Morgan is playing these games and telling you one thing and the other, then why don't you just go after Marcia? Just drop Morgan altogether. That's the part I don't get. Like, why participate in these games unless you are toxic yourself, bruh, and you gravitate towards that, and that's that tug of war game that I was talking about that you and Morgan play. Y'all play these tug of war games, and she was tugging and tugging on her rope and got the flag on her end, and you being competitive and egotistical, you found even though it was getting on your nerves and you was so-called tired of the games, you wasn't too tired. You was still going after her harder than anybody else. If Marcia was the chick, why didn't you let that be known? Let that be known to the world. RTL didn't have to. They couldn't edit it out if you really was going after her hardcore. They would have put that in the storyline, okay? But you dropped the ball on that because a part of you loved the toxicity of Morgan. Just go ahead and admit to it, man. Just go ahead and admit to it. You love the brokenness. You love the tug of war game. And that's why you kept after her. And you was even ready to get physical and fight Lyndon over her. So let's not pretend like a part of you don't like this stuff. All right? Anyway, let's go in.
See that sound, but I knew that Morgan and I had a connection, and I unfortunately that's what I said.
Right. Well, yeah, I could tell you're an emotional dude, man. I went to school. I know some New York cats. You come across strong, hard, brash, but I try to tell people, guys have feelings too, and you showed your emotions, but you let your emotions get the best of you.
Absolutely.
And you said some stuff that you can't matrix back in your mouth. So, like you said, you got to stand 10 toes on that one. I do appreciate the fact that you're not blaming production. A lot of people get on here and blame production. But so my other question, when you said that statement, which was completely out of pocket, we all agree on that.
Right.
When you said that, at what stage was this in the process?
Let me say this. I don't think it was out of pocket. It wasn't even supposed to freaking get out. It wasn't even supposed to get out. Okay? Lyndon used that as a secret weapon. And normally, like I said, this stuff wouldn't get out. But they're in a competitive environment on the show. So all is fair in love and war. and in RTL, you got both going on. You got love and war going on. So you got to be extra careful with what you say around in that environment, because it's going to be used against you. It's going to be used against you. But normally, this stuff wouldn't get, it wouldn't come out, But anyway, let's go in.
All right. So you and Morgan, bro. So when you decide to go that route, all right, you talked about the two other ladies you were entertaining. Of course, you made a huge, fumble when you said what you said about Marcia. All right, we've talked about that. So moving forward, have you ever had any physical altercations with women in the past? Any type of any domestic?
Never. I never had any domestic cases with any woman in my life. All right. I just want to throw that out there. There's not one case of me being domestic to a woman. That's something, again, I do not tolerate. A man do not put his hands on a woman, and point blank. If you feel you have to do that, just walk out, man. So I do not believe in beating on women or domestic violence in any shape or form. So I just want to throw that out there.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I don't know where I got this from, but some people said that some people called him Ike Turner. And I was like, whoa. Like, let's not, can we get out of this whole color purple stuff and thinking that every, black man who raises his voice and got some bass in his voice is an abuser? Can we get out of that, please? That's very annoying. That's very annoying to the men. Just because we got a little bass in our voice and we speak up when we mean something, don't mean we some kind of physical abusers. And I've heard people refer to Tony as Ike Turner, and I thought that wasn't fair at all. That's not fair to him at all. Like the guy said, he don't have no history of hurting women or anything like that. And if they doing the background check, he wouldn't have been on the show anyway. So, I mean, let's stop with all of this, false labeling each other and false labeling the men as being some kind of abusers just because they raised their voice. We got to get out of this color purple trope that just, covers all black men for some reason. Like we sir or something. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I'm just so tired of a lot of the negativity towards a lot of the men. Toxic masculinity, Ike Turner, like, you don't deserve none of this crap. And it's really getting under my skin a little bit here. So bear with me as we try to get through this interview, y'all. I'm not trying to be too heavy, but it's too much. It's just too much. Anyway, let's go back in.
Sorry, let's move on from that. So, Nair in the hair, bro. Nair in the hair. Like, why didn't you run right then? Like, what made you? Some people like, because I got a homeboy who likes crazy. He loves it.
Let me tell you something, Rashid. Let me tell you something. The reason why I didn't bring that up to my boy or anything like that, I see everybody throwing a hissy fit, Morgan Nair in the hair and things like that. Let me tell you something. Morgan is very calculated on what she's doing, right? I'm not worrying about that, man. I truly believe with all my heart. Morgan know who to do that to or not, right? So I don't think Morgan would even consider putting Nair in my hair. So that's why I felt like it was nothing to really talk about. At the end, my boy was telling me, like, Tony, why you never told me that? But I feel like that
was a non-issue for you.
It was a non-issue for me. You know what I'm saying? It literally was a non-issue for me, man. I felt no way about it. I wasn't scared. I wasn't any of that shit, man. Excuse my French, but nah.
No, you good.
Yeah.
So,
oh, Tony the Tiger, man, oh man. Listen, it ain't about being scared, bro. It ain't about being scared. It's about learning the nature of somebody. It's about learning the nature of somebody. There will come a time when you will look the other way and see your ego right now thinking that, oh, that can't happen to me. She ain't gonna dare do that to me. Okay? Okay, you can ignore it. This is a classic sign of ignoring red flags. It's a clear red flag. Again, Rashid said, why don't you just jet right there, bam, just out the door? Oh, well, me and my ego, I ain't worried about it. She ain't gonna do nothing like that with me. It was a non-factor. I'm Tony from up top, so I can't be affected like that. I ain't gonna worry about it like that. And she won't dare, you know. This is what I'm talking about with being gravitated towards toxicity. And this is what I mean by just ignoring a red flag. Even if a guy did this, like say for instance, a guy put nair in a woman's hair and it all fell out, he would have more than just a problem. Okay, he would have people after his ass. For real, he would have people after him. How dare you put nair in a woman's head and to where it all fell out? It's more than a red flag. Okay, it is a stop sign at that point. All right, and but when women do it, it's not, it gets overlooked. I mean, he said, oh, I ain't worried about that. If a man did that, you think any woman would overlook that? No. And they would be smart not to overlook that. That's something big. That's a huge red flag. You don't put nair in people's hair. I don't care if it's male or female. But men can be so blinded by beauty and so egotistical that they miss red flags. So I'm not even blaming Morgan for this. This is all on Tony. This is all on Tony for not paying attention to the red flag that was easily given to him, and maybe even a part of him loving the toxicity of Morgan. That's why I say he's a broken man too, because a man who's not broken is not going to want to have to deal with this. He's going to see the red flag and be like, you know what? I ain't got time for this. I ain't got time for this. Because if it's not going to be nair, it's going to be something else. Okay? Y'all share an account or something, and she swipe all the money out of the account. It could be a number of different things. You go to the car, all your tires are slashed. Crazy is crazy, bruh. Recognize crazy when you see it. Don't let your ego blind you just because you're attracted to this woman. I know I've been with a lot of attractive women that were crazy. I bounced. I ain't got time for that. I don't care how you look. Okay? It don't matter. When I see crazy, I'm out. Anyway, let's go back in.
But let's get into Natasha Gay.
Right.
So let's talk about this, man. So from what everybody's seen is you met her at the Mixer. She went home first episode at the Mixer. That's the one that me and Simone were a part of.
Right. I remember.
We met all you. We met her there. And the story goes, hey, she gave you the number. You contacted her. And then all hell broke loose on camera.
Right.
So kind of give us a timeline of that. And then we'll get into how and why it got mentioned on TV and for what reason. But before we get to that, how did that even come about?
So if you don't mind, I just like to address that.
Sure.
In terms of Natasha and, what I said in my confessions pertaining to Natasha. Again, I take full accountability of my actions, right? I have to take that, right? I'm not a kiss and tell type of dude. If Natasha, if you watching, I want to apologize first. I privately apologized to Natasha. Me and Natasha had a talk over the phone, and privately I apologized to her, and we had a nice talk. But because this was done in public, I want to publicly apologize to Natasha. She did not deserve that. It was very distasteful about, concerning what I did. A lack of poor wording. It was really, really distasteful and disgusting. And I'm really ashamed that when I look and watch that episode, the things that I said pertaining to Natasha and I, it's really cringing. All right, and Natasha, for what it is, for what it's worth, I truly apologize. Um, our relationship, that's not the man who I am, and I'm better than that. I apologize. It was something that I have to live with. But again, I want to apologize because you did not deserve that. You're a beautiful woman, and I'll take that. Any criticism or hate that I get for saying those words, I'll take it. You know.
Now, let me say this. This is a very loaded subject for me. Um, and let me say why. First of all, I think um, the whole reason for this whole thing is due to, again, Tony's Achilles heel, which is his ego. Now, first of all, I think he told all the fellas he smashed Natasha, because when he went into the meeting with Tommy, Mark Anthony was already laughing. He already knew, so he had already told Mark Anthony that he smashed Natasha. Most of the fellas knew already, so he didn't just tell Morgan. He told the fellas too. And if y'all watch that episode again, you will see them already laughing. They know what he's going to say. And like he said, Mark Anthony is one of his tight homeboys. So more locker room talk. I mean, look, man, you you dating a number of different women. Boys gonna be they gonna talk they talk. They gonna talk they talk to their boys. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, she's off the show. Yeah, y'all remember Natasha? Yeah, I smashed Natasha. So he told the fellas. Um, that was some kiss and tell type stuff. And uh, that part, um, he needs to own that part. That was some kiss and tell type stuff. Uh, However, the boys didn't say nothing about that. It didn't come out with them. He said it to Morgan because now let me say this. I understand why he told Morgan because he's in a bit of a conundrum here. If he's going to start getting tight with Morgan, he knows that this is going to come out at some point. He just know. It could have even been at the reunion where it came out. It was going to come out. Even if it came from Natasha herself, it was going to come out. So he said, let me get in front of this before it comes out. So he told Morgan because he felt like, now the reason why he felt the need to tell Morgan is because he smashed Morgan too. So he had to kind of be like, look, this, that, and the third. You're not the only one I smashed in this experience. And again, him and Morgan like to do a tug of war. They do a tug of war back and forth. Oh, I got Lyndon. Oh, I got Natasha. Oh, I got Lyndon. Oh, I got Natasha. So they do a back and forth. It's attractive to them. So it was a soft brag, okay, a humble brag, but he did he had to humble brag. So it served two purposes. It was a humble brag, and it was to kind of get ahead of it, so he didn't have no skeletons in the closet. He had already smashed Morgan at this point, so he was it was worth the risk of letting her know at this point, right? You're not gonna tell her before you smash. You're gonna tell her after you smashed. So that's what he did. I understood why he told. I mean, he did some locker room stuff with the boys, and he told them that's his bad. But again, it didn't come out with them. It came out with Morgan. Now, I find it kind of funny that I'm not saying Morgan is getting a pass from this, because she's not necessarily getting a pass from this, but um, it's just funny to me how uh, people don't understand the situation that Tony was in. He was in a situation. He had to tell Morgan. Like, if I'm being honest, and I was in his situation, I probably would have told Morgan behind the scenes too. So I can't even really knock him for that. I can't, like, maybe telling the fellas, I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have too. Okay, but I didn't say I didn't have no ego, but at the same time, I understand Tony's position right here, and I'm gonna have to rock with his side on all of the whole Natasha thing, because he did not come out on camera and say it. His girl did, and she did that for what reason? To embarrass everybody. She embarrassed him. She embarrassed Natasha. She even embarrassed herself. It was a dumb move by Morgan to say anything about that on camera, because now the whole world know, and they didn't have to know. But I guess to build drama, build toxicity, and to try to embarrass Tony all the while you're embarrassing yourself too. It's just, I don't know. I do have to place most of the blame on Morgan, because she didn't have to say that. She didn't have to say that on camera. But he did have to say it to Morgan, because he is looked like they were starting to get serious at that moment. And you don't want to hold those kind of secrets. You just don't. You want to get in front of that. Like, look, this happened between me and Natasha before we get to this reunion. Okay? You need to know some things. This, that, and the third. So I think that Morgan handled this situation wrong. And look, I'm not trying to look. Tony messed up on a lot of stuff. He messed up on a lot of stuff. But I understand his position though. The guy ego really gets him in a lot of these situations. His ego is out of control. He need to learn how to control his ego, because his ego made him tell the fellas. His ego made him, well, I wouldn't say his ego made him, logic made him tell Morgan. So I really don't fault him for telling Morgan. Telling the fellas, yeah, but they're not the ones who came out with it. And all that stuff with Lyndon also, it's hard for me to be critical with Tony, because he's not the one being messy on camera. It's everybody around him being messy on camera. Lyndon telling stuff that he told the fellas. Morgan telling stuff that he told her in confidence. Everybody around him is being messy. So it's hard for me to be hard on Tony. I'm not saying he moving, you know, all the way right, because he out of pocket for a lot of stuff, and he's taking ownership for that. But when it boils down to it, there's a lot of other people who need to hold some of this accountability. It's, because they're just as complicit with this whole situation, and it's who knows if they're ever going to be held accountable to the level that Tony is. But as for me, I kind of give him a pass on this Natasha thing. He didn't know what him and Morgan was going to be. He didn't know how things was going to shake out. He was doing him, being a man. He told the girl that he thought he was going to be with in confidence. She blabbed it out on network TV. It's just, anyway, let's go in.
And I made a mistake. I fess up to my mistakes, and I'm going to move on. But I just want to tell Natasha I apologize. Now, with that said,
One second, I got to plug my camera in. Keep going. Go ahead. I got to plug my camera. Go ahead.
No, moving forward, again, me and Natasha did have a relationship. I don't know if it was 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but yes, I did have a relationship with Natasha. But I can assure you, that relationship did not extend throughout the course of the show.
Right, so that's what people want to know. We want to know a timetable, because you met her in the first episode or the first filming, right? And then you all exchanged numbers, and the whole world knows y'all were physical, y'all were intimate, so to speak.
Right. No, I'm gonna put a butt to that right now. It wasn't just physical. We had Natasha and I talk. It wasn't just a physical thing, right? Again, Natasha and I had a relationship that extended, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know the time frame in terms of, I can't sit here and give you, okay, it was 4 weeks or 5 weeks. I don't know. What I can tell you is, as Morgan and I got, deeper and deeper into our connection, Natasha was no longer in the picture.
Okay. So you're saying,
in other words, as Morgan and I got deeper and deeper into our connection, everybody knows what that means. They smashed. So, as we got deeper into our connection, things are being intimate, and we're starting to, catch feelings. Now it's time to share this information, because we're getting serious now, and feelings are getting involved. So I had to disclose it. Again, I don't really knock Tony for this. I really don't. So he got a pass from me on this, because it's just a bit of a tight situation, but it would be all good if somebody didn't blab it out on network TV. Anyway.
And it wasn't just like a one night stand. You and Natasha really y'all hung out, y'all dated, you recorded, it was cool, y'all talked.
Absolutely. Okay. Natasha and I was not a one night stand. So whoever said that, or however it may seem, and if I made it seem like that was not the case. Natasha and I did not have a one night stand. Absolutely not.
Yeah, because it came across a little crazy for her. She tossed you the number, and then, adults did what adults did.
And again, right. It was, and again, I have to eat that, right? It was a lack of bad wording, and all of that. It wasn't just that, it wasn't like, I met Natasha, one thing led to another. No, me and Natasha went out, we had good times, we had great conversation and things like that. So it was not a one night stand.
Okay. So at this time, when you're feeling Natasha, you're obviously feeling Morgan at some point. So did those two cross over? Like, were you messing with Natasha and Morgan at the same time, or how
no, like I said, me and Morgan was just talking at the time. It wasn't really no, it wasn't no deep connection or anything like that. So I'm on a dating show, right? So I'm dating.
Yeah.
It's not like okay, me and Morgan is dating, and I can't, talk to anyone else. So I was on a dating show, and
I got you.
me and Natasha had our relationship, and that's what it was. But
I got you.
I'm not going to sit here and let anybody say it was a one night stand. That was not the case.
Okay.
And again, Natasha's a beautiful woman, and take full accountability of my actions, and I'm sorry. As time went by, I felt the need to let Morgan know, right? So
Okay.
I took Morgan to the side, and we had a deep conversation. And actually, what I did was I confided in Morgan. I understand me and Morgan was dating, but
Yeah.
however, we was not together, right?
Right.
We
No,
wasn't
no,
a
no,
couple,
no.
right?
Yeah,
So
you
I
weren't
did not
exclusive.
want to hold anything.
Yeah, really, like it really wasn't her business. It really wasn't Morgan business what he was doing. Like I say, he was a grown man. He was doing his grown man thing. Natasha, a grown woman, she was doing her grown woman thing. And who knows what Morgan was doing? Um, on or off the cast. Lyndon or whoever. She was doing her thing. They wasn't no couple. They wasn't. So if he was seeing Natasha around that time, and he was on a dating show, and Morgan wasn't his woman, and so he didn't owe her nothing, but he felt like he owed her something once they got intimate. Then it's okay, so now this is getting serious, so let me, full disclose everything here because this is on TV. There are cameras everywhere. This is the network. This is a competitive environment. So let me just put all my cards on the table because I don't want to be called out on national TV for not keeping it real. So let me do this, and I'll tell her, especially now since we're more emotionally involved. So long story short, it wasn't Morgan's business to know until it was her business to know, and that's when he told her. Anyway, let's go back in.
Okay. So you told her that. What was her response? Did she go crazy? What, did she respect it? She was like, I get it.
That,
Like, how did that go?
yeah, to be honest, Rashid, I really don't remember how it went down, but
Okay.
I do remember that she didn't she didn't throw a fit or anything like that.
Right.
For one, she had to respect that, but yeah,
Yeah.
she was
Y'all
angry.
weren't
I'm not going to
exclusive.
sit here and say yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say she wasn't angry and things of that nature. She was, but in terms of the terminology and what she said, I'm not going to get into all of that. But yeah, she was mad. Yes.
Yeah. I got you. I got you. Okay. So all right, bet.
So just speculation, but she was angry. She was, she didn't throw a fit. It's hard for me to picture Morgan being angry without throwing a fit. The two don't seem to match up. Maybe she could be a little condescending and, you know, I'm kind of picturing her scenario with Blake, where she was a bit derogatory and snarky and insulting and things like that. I can kind of picture her being like that with Tony. That nature of her with Blake. Probably said a whole bunch of derogatory stuff towards him, derogatory stuff towards Natasha, the whole situation, and maybe not necessarily throwing a fit, but being belligerent at the same time. So I think it was a rinse and repeat of the Blake situation. That's probably how she responded. Anyway, let's go back in.
So then after that, obviously Morgan decided to continue on the process with you, right? And if she was going to bring it up, she could have
Right.
brought it up very earlier on in the process. So after that, you and her continued to date.
Absolutely.
So were you and Morgan intimate?
No, I'm not going to share that type of information or anything. Just put it like, Morgan and I had a deep connection with one another, and she definitely was my person. My feelings towards Morgan was real. It was true, and you know, amongst all the negativity and the toxic and everything that was going on, I really cared for Morgan.
So, in other words, yes, we were intimate, but with all the stuff that I'm in right now, especially with Natasha stuff, I'm not going to spill that beans and be a kiss and tell type of dude, because that's just not. I'm trying to get out of this rabbit hole, okay? I don't want to get pushed back into it. So I'm going to give a PR answer. And look, I ain't mad at you, Tony. I ain't mad at you. I would have said the same thing. I'm not going to get into that. We just have a deep connection. That's my girl. We cool. So, I understand the PR move there. Honestly, I probably would have did the same thing. All right, let's go back.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. All right. I like that. Okay. So at the end of the day, this was brought out to national television. So that's what really people up in arms about Tony, and if they have issue with you,
Absolutely,
that
absolutely.
you kiss and tell. You told the world this woman's private business that didn't need to be out there for the masses. Why did that come out, and how did that come out? Did you feel you need to say that,
Well,
or did someone say that first? Why did that come out, and
well,
how?
well, well, well. To be clear, if anyone was really paying attention, I didn't tell anyone. I confided in Morgan, and I told Morgan. Morgan brought it out, and then the world realized that, right? So I
No,
didn't
so
say
wait.
anything.
When y'all were in that interaction, when what did she call it, like an entangled or situationship or something like that? I don't
Right,
remember.
right, right,
Did
right,
she?
right.
So that was the first
Absolutely.
time. Dang, I forgot about that.
That was the first time that ever came out. Yes.
So okay, so in that moment, that was. I mean, you were filming. So did you know? I mean, that was.
For the record, he's right about that. He did not bring that out. Morgan brought that out. But for the record, I think he did tell the fellas. Okay. Because when they were at the meeting again, like I said, with Tommy, they were laughing because they already knew. They already knew what Tony was going to say. So he told a number of different people. So I can't give him too much of a pass on the kissing and telling, because I think he do that. But it's something that guys do. Look, I I could probably imagine some of the other guys told some of the other guys that they smashed, but it hasn't gotten out yet. You know what I mean? I think maybe Mark Anthony may have smashed with Mercedes, but the fellas ain't gonna tell that. They're not gonna go out on camera and tell that. But it's talk among men. It's talk among men. Yeah, yeah. With Mercedes, yeah. I saw, yeah. Dre with Jeffrey. Yeah, he smashed. I smashed that too. Yeah, and this is probably, look, again. I don't blame Tony for much of this, but I do think he did tell the fellas too. So he'll have to take a L on that one, because they was laughing their heads off when he was telling Tony. They knew already what he was gonna say. So but the Morgan thing, yeah, she is the one who came out with this. So that the fact that we know is all her fault. It's not his fault. He didn't come out with this.
Coming. Obviously, you said that's the only person you shared that with. You didn't share that with the boys around the pool table.
That is.
He got bailed out on that
Tony,
question.
hello. Oh no. Oh no. Oh.
You
I
hear
think,
me?
yeah, we got you. We got you. We got
You
you.
got me?
Yeah. So go ahead and finish your thought.
All right. All right. No, no, and I didn't tell anyone. I confided in Morgan, and when she brought that out on national TV, I was kind of surprised. But again, I don't blame Morgan. You know,
I don't, that part I don't believe. I don't believe he didn't tell the fellas. He told the fellas, but he can't say that because he don't want to look like a kiss and tell type of guy. Again, he's trying to get out of this rabbit hole. But if you look at that episode, the guys was laughing their heads off because they knew already what he was going to say. And they were not even surprised when he said it, that he had an entanglement with Natasha. They was not, none of them was surprised. He told the guys, but he's on a PR campaign right now trying to get out of this kiss and tell hole, okay? So he's trying to dig his way out of this. So that part I don't believe. I think he just may have lied to us on that one. He didn't tell the fellas. Yeah, he told the fellas. Anyway, let's go in.
it's something again that I have to eat. Morgan felt disrespected by it, and I have to eat that. Like I said, you know, I I want to apologize to both ladies, right? With Natasha, I apologize to the things that I said about the intimacy and things like that. With Morgan, it's more of what I put Morgan through, right? To be honest, I was shocked. Well, I'll wait for you to bring that up. Let me take that back, and I'll just wait for you to bring that up.
Okay. Well, so I guess my question is, when she said it, obviously you didn't know she was going to say that. In that moment,
Mhm.
like, obviously, I mean, it's a show. Like, why didn't you challenge her? Like,
Right.
why would you say that? Like that's not cool. Like, you just continued with it, and then you brought it up
Well,
again in the men's
well,
lounge.
well. No, no. I did. I didn't challenge. I don't want to say challenge, but I did speak up and said, you're not going to talk to Natasha like that.
Okay.
You're not gonna talk negativity about Natasha. She's a beautiful woman, and I'm not gonna sit here and allow that in my presence. So I did
You
say
did.
that.
Okay. I got
Now in production, excuse me, I'm sorry.
you. No, nothing.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear
Okay.
you. Go ahead.
Yes. In the confessions, I really didn't bring it up, but at the time, I knew that obviously production know about it, right? After the date with Morgan and things like that, and again, I'm not blaming anybody but me, but Tommy was kind of like pushing, taking it out of Tony, what happened, what happened, what happened, and
Yeah.
like I said, it was a poor choice of wording that how I described it and things like that. And again, I take full accountability of that.
Right. But at the end of the day, from what I'm hearing, I don't think it was a poor word of choice because from what you're telling me, you confided in a person that you felt you trusted, that it wouldn't leave
Right, right,
the two of you. So you weren't being
right,
disrespectful. It came out like you were, but it seemed like it
right,
came out to this other person, the only person that could release it. If you're truly saying that it was just between the two of you, then what was your poor
right,
choice? Like, yeah, maybe you said it, yeah, because it was kind of cocky the way you said it in Tommy's lounge. It was like, yeah,
right,
but at the same
right.
time, to your point, it never should have been put out there because obviously you weren't telling Morgan to brag about it.
No, no, obviously not. And again, I'm just mad about the entire situation because I never meant for Morgan to get hurt in this situation or Natasha, and Natasha didn't do anything wrong, and I'm truly, truly sorry that it came out the way it did. And I never meant to hurt any of the ladies. I really didn't, and it's just something that I can take full accountability for and move forward.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Okay? You're damned if you do come out clean and transparent to Morgan, because she's going to blab it out on network TV, and you're damned if you don't, because if somebody else come out with it, then you're a liar. You kept this from me. You never said anything, you know. So it's he's in that situation right now. So, unfortunately, that's just where it is. It's like you can't win, really. You can't win in a situation like this, unfortunately. And it shouldn't be like that. Um, I would say it would all be okay if Morgan didn't say anything. Okay, we wouldn't even be talking about it if Morgan didn't say anything. So a lot of the onus and I would say the liability goes on her because she put it out there, and she could have saved both Tony and Natasha a lot of uh, you know regrets if she would have just kept her mouth shut. But anyway, let's go in.
Got you. All right. So let's see. My train of thought I lost. Oh, so obviously you and Morgan go to the last show, right? And Morgan
Right,
decides to
right.
choose herself. Were you out there to
Mm.
choose her? Were you ready to choose her? And if so, were you surprised? And if you weren't ready to choose her, were you relieved?
Right. Nah, good question, Rashid. Very good question. Listen, as I stated earlier, I really came on the show to find love. I truly thought I opened myself. I was vulnerable with Morgan, and I was ready. I was excited. You could see the smile on my face. I'm like, yeah, this is it right here. It's Morgan and I. We're gonna do this together. We're gonna show the world that we are not toxic and we can get through this, right? So, yeah, when she when she chose herself, I was taken aback. I was hurt. I
Okay.
I was
So you really
I was
wanted to go. You really
surprised.
wanted to pursue the relationship. You were really truly hurt.
Absolutely.
So
No,
you didn't see it coming at all.
absolutely. Listen, I didn't come this long way to not pursue this relationship with this woman. We've been through so much throughout the course of the 12 weeks. So yeah, I really felt that, Morgan and I can do something. We can take on this crazy world together. I was hurt, as the thunder and the lightning was coming down, and I'm just listening to Morgan speak, right? I'm literally listening to everything that this woman is saying to me,
Uh-huh.
right? And as the clouds cleared and I was home and I was able to really sit back and just take it all in, Rashid, I can't blame Morgan for choosing herself. You
Okay.
know, I I act a fool. I embarrassed her with the
Both of y'all
Marcia
did.
situation,
Both of y'all did.
not showing, right,
But this
but
is
not
you. Go ahead.
showing
Yeah.
that emotional connection that Morgan needed. And I to look back in retrospect, I don't blame Morgan for choosing herself. I left Morgan no option but to choose herself. And again, shout out to Morgan. I want to apologize to Morgan and tell Morgan, I truly understand why you chose yourself. I left you no other option but to choose yourself. I mean, I did a lot over that course of 12 weeks. So, I just want to apologize to you on national, and publicly, excuse me, and say that I
National. Yeah. Go ahead.
understand.
And call it. It's gonna be national TV. Go ahead.
Right. No, no, I just want to say to Morgan, I understand. I understand why you choose yourself, and I left you no option. And for that, I'm truly, truly sorry that I left you with that option of choosing yourself, because I know that Morgan and I truly care for each other,
Yeah.
and I know she was hurt. I know she was hurt, and like I said, I don't blame her. I understand it, and much love to her. Shout out to Morgan. True
Yeah.
talk.
Now, let me say this. You know, first of all, Tony, you have to understand something, bruh. You're never going to be more important than the sisterhood, okay? For her to have a moment for the sisterhood is top priority, okay? It probably could have been man up there. If it was Lyndon, she would have done the same thing. Okay, she would have chosen herself. She wouldn't have walked away off the show with Lyndon. She wouldn't have walked off the show with you. Okay, and that's just real talk. That's just real talk. In my opinion, that's real talk for me. Okay, now, with Morgan, you know, you said that you done a lot of things against her, and she done a lot of things too, but I just feel like Tony is still trying to get at Morgan. I think he's still trying to be with her. It sounds like he's very sympathetic to her, to the point of wanting to still try and work a relationship out. He's almost kind of trying too hard, it seemed like to me. No man who doesn't want a relationship with a woman is going to be overly apologetic the way that Tony is. I understand he's a gentleman and he wants to, portray himself as a gentleman, God-fearing man, all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. But I just feel like he still must be trying to obtain a relationship with her, which is why he's being over apologetic. Because there were mishaps that happened on both ends. Tony made some mishaps. Morgan did too. And how can he embarrass you for sleeping with Natasha if the world don't know about it? Okay, she put that on herself. She put that embarrassment on all three of y'all. If she would have kept her mouth closed, there would be no embarrassment. I think she did that so she can justify leaving you at the decision, bruh. She put that out there. That was all strategy. I have to let the world know why I'm going to leave you at the decision, at the the fake altar or whatever. I have to let people know why I'm going to do it, and they need to know about you and Natasha so that they can all show me sympathy and get behind me as Morgan. That's her train of thought, okay? Because if she don't do that, there's little reason for her not choose you. There's little reason for her to not. So that was all part of her strategy, bruh. She blabbed that out to embarrass you, to embarrass Natasha. She was collateral damage, and it was to justify leaving you on decision day. Okay, it was all part of her plot and plan, because I'm gonna tell you, nothing is above the sisterhood. Okay, she wasn't gonna walk off the show with any guy. It just is what it is. So I don't, what it seemed to me, again, he still wants a relationship with her. Why? I don't know. Honestly, she might even be more acceptable for a relationship right now than she was on the show. For the show, it was all TV. But now that she don't have the cameras in front of her, she may be open to a relationship with Tony now. But I just think this guy is trying very hard to try to get back with a woman who has pretty much thrown him under the bus a number of times, with Lyndon, with Natasha. She just has thrown him under the bus. Again, they love to tug of war with each other. They ignore all red flags with each other. I hope y'all work out, man, because y'all don't need to be among the rest of society, for real. I'm just
Okay, great. So let me ask you this. Okay, so, and I agree with you, because you did show her enough red flags to choose herself, and I did say that. Okay,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
earlier on in the
Yeah.
process, she mentioned pre counseling. and you were opposed to it. How do you feel about therapy and going to counseling? Have you ever been? Would you go in the future? Tell us your stance on
Hmm.
therapy and doing your inner
Right.
work.
Yeah, Rashid, I'm ready. I'm way ahead of you. I am in counseling right now.
Okay.
I'm working on myself right now to become a better person. I realized that, this process took a whole toll on my life. You're right, and really looking through an outside lens and seeing how I responded, how I was emotional disconnected to Morgan and things like that. It's something that I truly need to work on. There's some things that I need to work on, and you know I want to become a better person. I want to become a better man for my kids and things like that, and definitely a better person to obviously be in a relationship with and things of that nature. So yeah, I've been in therapy for about 4 months now, and
That's
I'm
what's up.
definitely working on myself.
Well, let me say this: being in therapy, doing self work, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Hopefully, Morgan is in there with you. If she is, that's a beautiful thing. Both of y'all can benefit from it. But as far as Tony, yeah, doing your self work, being in therapy, beautiful thing, beautiful thing. I don't really have no beef with Tony. The only issue I really have with this brother is his ego. His ego. He has to. I don't know if that's the New York in him. I don't know what that is. But that's where it seemed like most of his work is controlling his egotistical ways. Now, I would say probably my other, well, yeah, it's mainly ego because it makes him do things. It makes him square up with Lyndon. It makes him tell his boys that he smashed a chick. It makes him, uh, you know, say that if another chick was here, he could have another chick. It makes him, it makes him do a lot of things. His ego is the problem. If he can maintain that, I think he will be okay. If he can maintain that, he will be okay. He just have to not carry around this bravado and ego. Like if I'm being honest, I don't believe in toxic masculinity. Okay, I don't believe in toxic feminine. Well, I don't believe in neither one of them. But um, if there could be a definition of toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, they both will be tied to ego. They both will be tied to ego. Is when the ego just call it egotistical instead of toxic masculinity, and because that puts a sex on it, and that's not fair. Or toxic femininity because it puts a sex on it. Just call it egotistical because they both tie to the ego. So it's good he's doing the self work. It's good that he's seeing a therapist. He's going to be a better man for it. But the big problem I see is the ego, and hopefully he can, uh, you know, control that a little bit more. Let's go back in.
Got you, man. I love that. I'm a
Hmm.
big advocate of counseling, and whatever it takes. If it was just this show
Absolutely.
and you seeing yourself in a negative light, I know you're a PK and you got kids, so I'm sure your family was like, "Yo." So what was the family? Did the family hit you up and see you? Like, is that the Tony that they know? Kind of how did that
Yeah.
go? To the backlash
Oh,
from
right,
your
right.
family?
No, no, no. Right. To be honest with you, my mom, my aunties, my sister, they was highly disappointed in me. Because they know that I wasn't that person on TV. They didn't know who that was on TV, and you know, I. I felt ashamed. I felt that I let them down because, being raised by all women, I was raised by all women in my life and things of that nature. So I truly believe that I let them down. They know that I'm a better man than what I portrayed on national TV. And I apologize to them, because I need to realize it don't just affect my life. It affects the women lives that's part of my life.
So were you raised by mostly
Friends.
women?
Yes, all women,
Oh,
not
really?
mostly, all women raised me,
Oh, okay.
all women.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
for my mom to feel embarrassed, she have to talk to her friends. Her friends watch the show. My auntie friends watch the show. My sister friends watch the show. So,
Yeah.
it's a sense of embarrassment for the entire family, not just for me. So,
Yeah.
again, I have to eat that, take full responsibility of that, and just become a better person and learn from that experience.
And that's where most of his shame is coming from, is the women in his family. He was raised by all women, and that's probably why he has a harder time controlling the ego, because he's probably one of the few guys left in the family. So it's going untethered, it's going unchecked by other men, and that's probably a big part of his story is, believe it or not, daddy issues. All right, unchecked ego, not knowing how to maneuver around things a little bit. Being raised by all women. So sometimes you can come out, if you're a lot of men, if they're raised by all women, sometimes they can come out a little too feminine, or they can come out a little too masculine, a little too aggressive, depending on uh, a bit of their environment and their genetic makeup. You know, if they're in New York, and I don't know where he's from, Brooklyn or wherever, or Queens. I'm not sure, but if he's raised in New York, where he's going to get his life lessons from his friends, his environment is going to shape who he is. Sometimes young men like that get in gangs, and that shapes their mentality and their environment, especially if the father is not in the household. So they get their man cues from gangsters and thugs and things like that. So that plays a factor. However, he admires and loves his family of females who raised him, so he don't want to let them down. So he has to try to balance how he was raised by what he was surrounded by, and that is he needs therapy to bridge that gap, because those are two different worlds. The women who raised him, and the environment he was raised in, and they're not calibrated, to go together that well. So it's going to take some mental work, some therapy to get that figured out. And I wish the brother the best. And there you have it from Tony, from up top. Okay. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think of this. I'll be interested to know. And I will catch you at the reunion. Peace.
For the fans out there, and for the people that's watching, I just want to say, this is who I am right here, what you guys see. I'm very humble, upfront, and direct at the same time. But, men make mistakes. We all make mistakes in life. And it's something that, again, I got to eat. I'm going to eat all of that. Let me eat all of that. And, I just want to stand for what is right. And I have no intentions, or it never was my intentions, to disrespect any female. And I definitely respect all women. I was raised by all women, so it's all love there. And just looking forward to the reunion, for you guys to have a good time. And thank you all for watching. Truly appreciate it. Love.